Hi, my name is Chaturvedi polikinnani. I am from Trichy. As part of IEP course, today I am talking about new economic reforms since 1991. New economic reforms in India refers to the neoliberal policies introduced by government in 1991 and in the later years. The central point of the reforms was liberation of economy, simplifying regulations, giving more role to private sectors and opening up of the economic to competition. New industrial policy of 1991 is the heart of the new economic reforms. The philosophy of new economic policy was enhancing competition based upon the more market orientation. During the last 25 years, the economic reforms has produced significant impact on economic mostly positive. Following are the main features of new economic reforms. De-reservation of industrial sector, industrial delicensing policy, opening up of economy to foreign competition, liberation of trade and investment, financial sector reforms, reforms related to public sector enterprises, abolition of MRTP Act. So I'm going to talk about each act and each reform. The industrial sector, de-reservation of industrial sector. The industrial sector of economy has opened up to private sector after new industrial policy of 1991. Previously, the public sector has given reservation, especially in the capital good and key industries. The other operators, private sector and foreign investors were not allowed in this critical industry deregulation, and the industrial sector allowed private sector operation in most of these sectors except in 8 selected areas including atomic energy, mining and railways. Industrial delicensing policy. The most important part of new industrial policy of 1991 was to end of industrial licensing or the license raj or red tapeism. Under the previous industrial licensing policy, private sector firms have to secure licenses to start an industry. This has created long delays in the startup of industries. The industrial policy of 1991 has almost abandoned the industrial licensing system. It has reduced industrial licensing to 15 sectors, opening up of the economy to foreign competition. Another major feature of the economic reform measure was that it has given welcome to foreign investment and foreign technology. Opening up of economy to foreign competition has started new era in India's economic policy with permission to FDI upon 51% in selected sectors. Liberalization of trade and investment. The economic reforms introduced extensive liberalization of foreign trade and foreign investment. The important substitution of important restriction policies were abandoned and instead important liberalization and export promotion policies were introduced. On the investment front, the economic reforms marked the era of capital mobility in the country. Foreign capital in the form of FDI and FPI were entered into our country. Financial sector reforms. On the financial sector of government is introduced numerous measures for the deregulation as well as liberation of the sector. Different banking sector reforms including removal of control on interest rate and branch licensing policy liberation were launched. Capital market reforms and market reforms were extensive after 1994. Reforms related to public sector enterprise. Reforms in the public sector were aimed to enhance efficiency and competitiveness of the sector. The public sector will be concentrating in key and strategic sector. Government has adopted this investment policy for the restructuring of the public sector in the country along with several other policies. Abolition of MRTP Act. The new industrial policy of 1991 has abolished the Monopoly and Restricted Trade Practice Act. In 2010, the Competition Commission has emerged as watchdog in monitoring competitive practices in economy. The economic reforms were started in 1991 and they are still continuing. A major feature of economic reforms was that it was implemented in gradual manner. The reforms were comprehensive and extensive as it covered all the sectors trade, investment, industrial sector, financial sector, public sector, and fiscal sector, etc. The industrial policy introduced in 1991 is a central point of the economic reforms. In the following years, the government has introduced further policy changes for trade liberation, financial sector liberation, and foreign investment policy changes to sustain the momentum initiated in 1991. Over the last 25 years, as a result of launch of new economic policy and its continuation, the Indian economic has undergone significant improvement and now is one of the fastest growing economics in the world. The famous BRIC report predicts that India will grow as second largest economy by 2050. At present, India is categorized as emerging market economy (EME), along with China, Brazil, Russia, etc. Even the current crisis phase of global economy, India's macroeconomic performance is comparatively better. Thank you.